I present to you Mr. Leo Mohammed from the Nation of Islam. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, the one God to whom all holy praises are due forever. Whether we say God, whether we say Allah, Jah, Jehovah, so many words which are used to describe the creator of the heavens and the earth. But regardless to the name that we may use, beloved brothers and sisters, I bear witness that there is but one. Just as we have only one earth, as other people will tell you that there is a third world and a second world and a first world, there is just one earth, one sun, one moon, one universe that we know. I bear witness that there is but one God. And it's very important that you and I recognize that there is but one, and we will go into why there is but one in a few minutes. And so in the name of the one God, and in the name of our founder, one of our sisters a little while ago came up to me and asked me, what does the WFM mean? That means Wallace Farad Muhammad. That is the name of a man who came to black people in North America in 1930. And as a result of what he left with us, in a word, you got from that a most profound teaching. And a little black man by the name of Elijah Muhammad stood up in a place called Georgia in what they call the United States of America and began to teach black people. And many of us, you and I living in England, we don't appreciate that before the Honourable Elijah Muhammad stood up, black people referred to one another as Negroes. Many of us saw ourselves as Negroes. We referred to one another as coons, and we referred to one another as niggers, and we referred to one another in all manner of language. But the term, the language of brother and sister was never used. But after this man got up, Elijah Muhammad, and began to teach in the 30s. I don't know how many of you knew the condition that black people were in the 30s. But when he began to teach in the 30s and the 40s and the 50s, then we began to learn a new language. And we began to use terms such as brother and sister. We began to use terms such as black. And then from this man's teachings, you had all of these great movements that came around in the 60s. Black Panthers, when you heard black people getting up and saying, I'm black and I'm proud. This is the man that started all of these things. When you had all of these black men who suddenly found some backbone. And at the Olympic Games, they stood with black gloves and raised their fists in the sign of black power. When all of a sudden we had all of these great artists and writers coming up. Many of you heard James Brown. James Brown say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. We never knew where he was coming from. He was listening to the Honourable Elijah Muhammad. Then along came another man, Muhammad Ali. And we loved him as young black people growing up. We said, man, this man is awesome. Not only was he a tremendous fighter, but he had a word in his mouth for black people. And some of you saw him on Parkinson. And for the first time you saw a black man bold enough to stand up in front of white people and tell it like it is. Then we had Malcolm X. And we can go on. And today we have the Honourable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I went through all of that to let you know where this is coming from. This isn't something that your little brother, that's me, Leo Mohammed, this isn't something I went to bed one night and dreamt up myself. I'm really not that clever. This is not something which is unique to me. It's not some tremendous teaching that I've thought up. I'm really not that kind of person. I was one of those very foolish black people running up and down in the streets of England, disrespecting myself, disrespecting my sisters, disrespecting anything or anybody that moved. I really didn't know very much, and I was very, very foolish. And till I heard this word from the Honourable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And so in that line of divine, I desire to greet all of you in the greeting words of peace. We say it in Arabic, and I'll explain why in a minute. We say, Assalamu alaikum. For those brothers and sisters who don't know what Assalamu alaikum means, it's not hocus pocus. For the Jamaicans in the audience, it's not obya. It's not some kind of voodoo or some crazy kind of thing. Assalamu alaikum simply means, when translated from the Arabic to the English, peace be unto you. And that is the spirit in which I come to Nottingham this evening, in a spirit of peace and love for black people. And I pray that each and every one of you has come out this evening in a spirit of peace and love, and that you desire, like me, to share a word that would empower you and I. If this meeting is just about you coming here to hear me speak for a few hours, couple of hours or whatever, and me trying to sound good to try to maybe try and impress you to say, wow, he speaks well that's just pure vanity. And that will be a waste of your time and a waste of my time. However, if you came out here with an idea in your mind, in your heart, that maybe this brother might have something to say that would allow me, talking personally now, because this is a meeting, and in the word meeting you have the word me. And you don't have no meeting unless you're in it and you are a part of that meeting. And if you are desirous of saying, I want something for myself from this meeting, I desire that as we approach the 21st century at a rapid rate, that from this meeting I may get some answers to some questions that will help to sustain me into and beyond the 21st century. Because, beloved brothers and sisters, I'll be very, very honest with you. You know, one of the reasons why I can jump into a car and travel in excess of 100 miles to come to Nottingham without pay, because nobody ain't paying me for this, and with no desire for pay, but with a burning desire in my stomach and in my heart to give this word to black people, is because I recognize that we are living in very, very serious and precarious times. And I desire that what I know, that I impart it to you, share it with you. And then we always say in the Nation of Islam, take it or leave it alone. There is no compulsion for you to accept what I say. All I ask you to do is to examine your heart. Examine yourself and ask yourself, see, if I stand before you and I speak foolishness, foolishness is not something you can package up, like screw up in a piece of paper, but foolishness, when uttered via word, something you must ignore. Discard it. Well, that's rubbish. I'm not interested in that. And move on with your life. However, if what I speak is the truth and it resonates in your being, then it is incumbent on you, having received truth, to act on truth. In Jamaica, the island of my birth, we have a saying, want it can't get it no want it. And I say that because many of us as black people, we say we want this, we say we want that. Black people say, man, yeah, man, boy, I want to know, man. I want to know what's going on. And when we meet brothers, I want you to talk back to me as well tonight, brothers. I don't want you to be shy. When we meet brothers, we say to one another, what? Wagwan. That's the question on the black man's lip. Where I said, we ask these questions, and it's a question. It may appear to be rhetorical, but we're really looking for something. Where I say, sir? Well, I mean, answer nothing. Where you are said? Because we're looking for something. We want an answer to something. And very rarely do we get an answer. And so I say to you, if you are one of those souls, which I believe you are, who is searching for answers to questions, searching for solutions to problems, searching for truth, I don't have to know each and every one of you as individuals to know that you probably were raised as a young person. Now those of us who claim adulthood, you were probably raised as a Christian. I was raised as a Christian. I went to Sunday school and all of those things in Jamaica. And they christened me and they gave me a Christian name, a first name, and I'm sure you all have one too. But the point is that in my upbringing, I found myself searching for answers to questions, and I never found them. I looked in the church and I didn't find it there. This is not to condemn or to put down the church. I just didn't find it myself there.
Go ahead.
I tried Rastafarianism. I've got to be honest with you. I tried. I looked into it. I used to have long dreadlocks at one point. I no longer wear my locks on my head. I wear it in my heart. The Rastafarian brothers and sisters were the first people that gave me some inkling of my pride and my blackness. They said stuff like, man is God and God is man. And I liked that. That sounded sensible. That made some sense. It made some sense to me. Maybe it didn't to other people. I became disillusioned. I didn't really find what I was looking for there either. I got into martial arts in a big way. I decided that I wanted to learn how to fight and protect myself or whatever, or just because I was one of them street kind of man. And because I got into that, I got into Buddhism, Zen Buddhism. I began to study those types of things, the yin and the yang, the soft and the hard, all of these things, but didn't answer my questions. I didn't find my answers there. I went into all manner of things, beloved brothers and sisters. I used to be a criminal, you know. I used to go into the countryside with some brothers from London, and we used to steal guns from the farmhouses, shotguns and things like this, and we used to saw them down to about 11 inches, and we used to cut down the stock as well, and then we would bring them back to London and we would sell them to the criminals, to the villains. So I was a gun dealer. That's the kind of things that your brother was doing. I got into all manner of trouble. I used to joyride in stolen cars and stuff like that when I was younger. Looking for myself, man. Searching. I want to know, who am I? Why was I born? I found myself in Borstal. I found myself in various juvenile detention places. Then I found myself in Big Man prison. And the thing for me was that while I was in the prison cell, I would look out of the window and there'll be bars on the window, and then beyond the bars there'd be like a courtyard, and then beyond the courtyard there was a wall, and then beyond the wall, no, within the wall there was a fence with like German razor wire on the top. And then beyond that there was a wall, and then and there were lights and all manner of security. And then in the yard itself, you had prison officers walking with dogs. And I would think to myself, all this just for me. And I would question myself, who am I then? Am I really this savage? What manner of a person am I that I'm in this cell? Because I never felt a relationship with that cell. I never felt compatible. Something was wrong because I didn't feel that I deserved to be there. And so my search continued. And at a point in time, I heard a word. And I'm going through all of this with you because it's very, very important. And I hope you'll bear with me. I'm not boring anybody, am I?
No, sir.
You with me, brothers and sisters?
Yes, sir.
Praise be to Allah. Praise be to God. At a point in time, I heard an audio tape. And I heard this audio tape, and speaking on the audio tape, this is around 1986. And the person speaking on the tape was the Honourable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Now, many of you have heard the name Farrakhan, right? And some of you, when you hear the name Farrakhan, immediately something negative comes in your mind. Oh, that's that racist man, that's that anti-Semite man, that's that bigot man. Because this is what's said about this man. He's a racist, he's an anti-Semite, and he's a bigot. And he's currently banned from coming to this country because he's a troublemaker. Farrakhan hates white people. He hates gays, and he hates lesbians, and he hates Catholics, and he's a hater. And so oftentimes when black people hear his name, they're immediately turned off. Because believe it or not, based on what you and I have been through in terms of racism, based on what you and I have experienced in the past as we've grown up and experienced rejection from other people on the basis of the color of our skin, believe it or not, we don't want to be another racist, a reverse racist. We want to get right away from any form of racism or discrimination. Many of us have adopted the philosophy that surely we're all the same. Surely all human beings are the same and color is only skin deep. And let's get away from this discrimination stuff and let's just unite. Why can't black and white unite? So when you hear Farrakhan or people talk about this Farrakhan, you reject him because somebody told you he's a racist. And black people don't have racism within us. We don't like racism. We don't want to be a reverse racist. Even though many of us have had tremendously bad experiences with white people, Caucasians, police, you name it, whatever, we still are searching or are desirous of forming proper relations with other people from other races, and in particular the Caucasian people, or as many of us would say, white people. They're not white people. Some of you need to remind me of these points when you ask your questions, because we'll explain why. But let me say this, beloved brothers and sisters. When I heard that tape from the Honourable Minister Louis Farrakhan, I want you to appreciate something. When I heard that man speaking on that tape, this is how I describe it. I'm not talking about no road to Damascus thing now. You know, this thing about ping and all of a sudden I met God. It wasn't like that. But what it was that when I heard him, I suddenly realized this is what I've been looking for all my life. It was like, imagine you've caught a fish and you've got the fish on the beach in the sand. Well, fishes don't belong on the beach in the sand. But some kind person comes along and picks up that fish and throws it back into the water, and immediately that fish begins to swim. That's how I felt when I heard this word. It was like a fish who had been out of water and was thrown back into the water. I immediately began to swim. It was like walking into a dark room, no lights, and I'm feeling my way. And then all of a sudden somebody turned on the light and it became like this room, totally illuminated, and I could see all of the obstacles that was in my way. And that's why I'm excited about what I know today, and I want to share it with you. Because, beloved brothers and sisters, some of you are parents, and your children, these little ones that you see in this room today, and some of those who are not here, and some of those kind of slightly older ones, they're 10 and 11 and 12 and 15, walking the streets today, that some in the media and others in the black community, the white community, the Asian community are quick to condemn. Those young black children that you see out there that are in this room today, these represent the best generation that black people have ever produced. Those young people out there that you think are so wild and crazy, they are the generation that our ancestors during slavery prayed that we would have a group of children born one day that would be fearless, that would not be cowardly like some of our parents were, who came to this country with one aim and purpose: get myself a little job, a little roof over my head, and don't rock the boat. But this generation, they don't think like that. You look at your young daughter and your young son that's in your arms tonight, and you look in their eye, they got a different look in their eye. You can bear me witness, sister. Even that little tiny one you got there, it's a different set of children. I mean, I look at my own 5-year-old and 7-year-old, And I'm saying to myself, but hold on a minute. When I was 5 and 7, I never knew what they knew. I wasn't remotely as bold as they are. But these children today, believe it or not, they were born to be the saviors of black people. They were born to be a generation of uncompromising, powerful people. And I say that to you because I'm saying, beloved brothers and sisters, in order for those of us in the room who claim to be adult today, in order for us to handle these children who are coming up, and this is a warning to us, because these children that are coming up, they're not going to play with us. They're not going to play with us. These children that are coming up, they will deal with you as the mother, deal with you as the father. See, when I was growing up, you couldn't, and we have a book as Muslims. I wish I had one here. I know there must be one in the room somewhere, but our book is called the Holy Quran. And in that book, it says that you must not even say "fi" to your parents. Some of us, when you're growing up and your parents might tell you off and you said "chuck." No. In my day, you don't say nothing. I mean, even if it looked like you were going to say something, just a shrug. I'm way over 35 years old. Bit more than that, in fact, going on a bit more than that. But I would not dare today to utter a swear word in front of my father, because I like my life. My father is up in his 70s, but I know he would kill me, because there's such a thing in my generation called manners and respect for your elders. And this is a very ancient and great tradition that goes back into black antiquity, something that many of us in the modern era have lost. And so today you find yourself as parents unable to control your children. And you find now that your children backchat you on a level that you only could imagine. And you can't understand. You're saying to yourself, wagwan. Because you still breathe fire on them. You still get vexed. You still beat them. But they look at you like, what you do, mom? Yeah, you're wasting your time. And by the way, your children who were born here, them talk more raw Jamaican than you. There's a new spirit. There's something going on that you need to get on top of as a parent. And so I'm saying this very, very briefly, beloved brothers and sisters. There's something that's required of all of us in this room tonight. I'm not an academic. I've been to school maybe 3 years in my entire life. I never went to school. I'm not a college man or a university man. I have no letters after my name. I have no qualifications, nothing whatsoever. But I go up and down this country and I speak to young, old, male, female, rich, poor, powerful, disenfranchised, makes no difference. And all of them, black or white, have to bear witness to the wisdom that issues from my mouth. Not because I'm a wise man, not because I'm some big shot or I'm something special, but because I'm only repeating a word which I heard from a master teacher, from this man, the Honourable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And based on this word, I am able to do and say what I'm able to do and say. And I want you to do something for me tonight, which I had to do. See, for many black people, what they say is, when you try and talk to black people, some black people, one, it's difficult to talk to black people if you've got my complexion. Black people sometimes, they don't mind listening to somebody that looks like this brother here. Because him have good hair. And him pretty. I'm not telling you no lies. You know this is a sickness and a disease which is in our community. This is part of the sadness of our people, where sometimes we think that to be light or white means to be better. And that one, the black or ugly. Look on him nose. Well, you see this broad nose, yeah? I love this nose. You see these thick lips here? I love these thick lips. And I'm saying to each and every one of you, with your broad nose, with your thick lips, with your nappy hair, you are the most beautiful people on this planet. Make no mistake about it. And you light-skinned ones, you're beautiful too. But don't get silly and start thinking that now you're better. That stuff we're going to eliminate in the black community. But I'm saying this, beloved brothers and sisters, because I'm saying black people have a problem listening to black people. They also have a problem because him a wear that funny suit. Forget the suit. The clothes don't make the man makes the clothes. Don't focus on my clothes. Well, boy, him should talk a little bit more like a black man. Him sound too much like a white man. Don't focus on my accent. Focus on what is coming out of my mouth. Is it true or is it false? It's basic stuff, man. Don't get caught up in, but look on him. Not the same boy that did upon the comedy thing the other day. Oh, him can make you laugh 1 minute and serious the next. Don't get diverted into foolishness. Focus on the meeting and what's actually being said. And is it resonating in you? I'm saying that, beloved brothers and sisters, because one of the things that we have to do tonight is we have to humble ourselves. Black people have this habit of saying, well, boy, I know them things there already. You not tell me nothing new. Well, once you make such a statement, if you know it already, you know what it means when you say you know already? That means that you are so full of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that ain't no room in you for nothing new. So you eliminate yourself now from the process of learning. Do you know how wise your little children are? And do you know why they're so wise? Because they never stop questioning. The little children say, why, mom? Why? Why, dad? Why? Why is that? Why is that? You get fed up. May I answer the question about that? Shut up, man. You get tired of them. But that is wisdom in a child. To consistently and constantly question everything. But what happens to us is we become so-called adults. And in our adulthood, we become afraid to ask questions because we don't want the other so-called adult to think that we're stupid. Or to use the proper term, stupid. I'm not going to ask that because I don't want that person to think I'm some kind of Dumbo. So what we do, instead of asking questions and getting answers to our questions, we begin a process of pretense. And most of us go through life bluffing. And when you're bluffing, as you get up in years, up in maturity, instead of getting wiser and wiser, we're getting dumber and dumber. Because the way this thing was designed by the creator of the heavens and the earth is that the young children are supposed to come to the older people for guidance. That's how the God made it. You know, when you go to the high court in this country, you go find yourself in the crown court, which some of you have been already. Very few black people ain't been there. Even if it's a friend you went to see, get sentenced. Not acquitted, sentenced. When you go there, beloved brothers and sisters, oftentimes the judge is a very old Caucasian man. But that very old Caucasian man, you see him going through a law book thick like that, called Archibald's, and there's some others. And you will see that judge sum up a case that was 2-3 weeks long and get into details about the case, making notes, going from this paper from the other, looking over his little half glasses. And the man, he's got so couldn't make it on time, get up late. But the white man, the old white man, is up at the crack of dawn. Believe it or not, you and I, that's how we're supposed to be. As we come up in years, we're supposed to be wise. We're supposed to be people who have got our faculties about us, and the young people coming to us for knowledge, wisdom and understanding. But today the young people are actually kicking the elders in the shins, and they say, you can't tell me nothing. Because we stopped questioning and we started bluffing that we knew, and so we're getting less and less instead of more and more. And some of us now, we get to 45 years old, 50 years old, and we're senile. I mean, in big trouble. I've on with glasses, I look for the glasses. Glasses up on me. For real, for real. Oh yeah. That's right. You know, some of us are young people. We got some breeder pain in our joints already. And we don't appreciate that these things are not natural. And we're doing these things to ourselves because of a lack of knowledge. And so, beloved brothers and sisters, I ask you, I implore you this evening, in the brief time that we have together, please humble yourself. I'm not here to talk down to you. You're my family. We're brothers and sisters. I love each and every one of you, whether you really appreciate it or not. My motive for being here is because I love black people. And I want you to have what you ought to have. And I don't want to see us as a people perish. Because if you perish, I perish. That's what I know. I'm dealing with some logical things here tonight. I ain't dealing with no abracadabra, no spooky business. No, I'm not coming here to teach you about the planet Zuko. I'm here to talk to you about Earth. Earth is where we live. And I want us to keep our feet firmly on the ground tonight. So please help me this evening. And if you hear something that you agree with, don't be shy. Don't worry about the black man or the black woman sitting next to you. I try to keep stush. You make some noise. Talk back to me, because we have a tradition as black people that when we agree with something, we let the man know that we agree. Don't look at my brother all strange because you hear him saying that's right. It's a copy here, look upon him. What happened to him? Every minute him I agree with him. What? That's how we are as black people. This is our tradition, and we have to get back to that. And so, beloved brothers and sisters, our subject tonight is the ultimate challenge. Survival of the black nation beyond the year 2000. And we want to touch very briefly as well on this celebration which is rapidly approaching that they call Christmas. But let's just say these few brief things, because the subject is a very vast one, and there's no way we're going to cover everything that needs to be said. I just want to deal with just a few points, and then I would love an opportunity to open up for your questions. That if you have a question, please jot it down, make a note so that you can remember it, and then when you have your opportunity, please ask it so that we can try to answer your question. Anything that you may have on your mind that is of relevance to this lecture, or just general things that you feel is important to you that you'd like to ask, we'd love an opportunity toward the end to answer your question. The ultimate challenge. Do you know what a challenge is? Do you know what the ultimate is? The ultimate is you can't get no higher, no greater challenge. This is the ultimate challenge to black people. Can we survive? Now, beloved brothers and sisters, I want to point out a couple of things to you. How many of you have heard of Arthur Scargill? Come on, you all live up here, man. Don't pretend. You've heard of Arthur Scargill. Do you know that Arthur Scargill was warning the miners for in excess of 10 years before they started to close all those pits? And do you know most of the miners, when Arthur used to go around the coal faces and the pits and warn them, they used to laugh at him? And they said, Arthur, you're just a rabble-rouser, man. Just be quiet. And then when they finally took notice of Arthur, it was too late. Margaret Thatcher had done the dirty. Do you know that right now in Bosnia, in Chechnya, and these other European states just around the corner from England, that there's such a thing as ethnic cleansing taking place, and that people are dying wholesale on the basis of their faith or their religion? But do you know that before the killing started, that there were many Chechnyans and Bosnians and others who stood up in those regions and warned the people that this was going to happen? And do you know the people said, now, come on, man, you can't tell me about my neighbor like that. That's my neighbor. We're friends. But within a short space of time, that same neighbor was raping and killing that man's wife. and murdering that man's village.